Absolutely magnificent. Finally, we got a game about the most beautiful thing in the world, the Cosa Nostra. Now, this right here, let me tell you, alright? A strategy game based on the Mafia. I can't wait to take a look. Let's jump right in. What do you say, eh? Alright guys, so I actually ended up taking a different family. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys kind of how this game works and the great parts about it so far. So number one, we do have a family here. Right now, Jacopo Jr. is actually the leader, the head of our family, with his son Giancarlo Jr., who also has two of these guys right here, basically underbosses. Well, actually, he's my underboss. These two guys are essentially soldiers. And beneath them, they have associates, you know, non-Italian or Italian mobsters that have not yet essentially joined the Mafia. And these people essentially help us to take over the city. Thomas Jr. is our other guy, and Mike Accardo is his soldier. However, if you guys take a look over here, Gianni Calabrese betrayed the family by implicating their superior. So we already had a rat in the family. As you can see, I've got 256,000, and I'm on week 106. This takes quite a while to really increase. So I'm going to just give you the very basics of what I've discovered about the game and what I love. So if we just click on a neighborhood here, we can actually get a description of this particular neighborhood. Now, initially, if you look at these four main, what I like to call boroughs, you have to send one of your underbosses here. After your underboss gets here, or your captain, probably your capo actually, you then, of course, want to send your other guys into these smaller areas. And there's actually an easy way to do that without actually having to zoom in here. It also shows what other gangs are in the area, and if you want, you can turn violent with those gangs and try and occupy the area. In this case, I have invested in quite a lot of businesses here on Laster Row, and if you look up here, I've got numbers, I've got money laundering, and distilleries. But this is a pretty poor area, and that's kind of why I put the distilleries here. People need a job, and we need money. Now, another thing you can actually do, which is pretty awesome, is you can focus on the neighborhoods which have already a propensity for certain things. As you can see, Yulzone Park is completely under my control, and I'm making a tremendous amount of money here at 26,000 a week. Now, there's something over here, and this is heat. Heat is essentially the police know about your activities or are starting to get close. At 54, that's pretty bad. And once that gets very high, you can actually, and this is pretty scary, go to jail, or, you know, any number of other things. If we jump over here, we've got the politics, and we can actually go ahead and bribe the police chief to be a bit more lenient on us. Same with the mayor if we want for some political favors, and we can do the same with the district attorney. Now, this doesn't ensure that things are going to go our way every time, but it certainly helps. We have legal proceedings, and sometimes you will get a mobster in jail, which you can bond out, or something like this. Currently, we don't have anybody in jail. We've got someone in prison, which is very bad. As you guys can understand, once you go to prison, you're in there for 30, 40, 50 years if you're organized crime, or if you're mafia or something like this. So that's just not an option. So Gianni Calabrese will never be back, as far as I know. Maybe he can. We've also got the commission. For those of you that don't know, the commission is the sort of shadow council of the mafia that decides upon everything. And so far, I haven't seen anything in terms of like ordering a hit with the commission or anything like that. But basically, the commission comes from several of the families. From what I understand, there are 4 right now, or 5. Maybe even 6. There might be 6. I have no idea. It's been a while. Boggiana, Calesi, Rocca, none of these are ours, for instance. And essentially, the commission decides which family gets precedence with the decision of their choice. Depending on, like, so for instance, this commission member, he might like my faction. This commission member might like another faction. Ultimately, if I get 4 commission members, then I get 5 votes. And usually you get to vote on what you want to focus on, which is either going to be economic focus or maybe paying off politicians or laying low even is a possibility. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just to show you guys kind of how this works. We'll go here to Rodham Hill. Now, this is a large area with an average income, and I want to go ahead and get some potential rackets set up. So I'm starting to think, like, what would average income people want? Now, it's a large area. They wouldn't necessarily want distilleries, but since there's a lot of people there, they might actually want a job. So we're going to attempt to purchase this, and we made an investment, and we're actually losing money. So that's going to be one that I probably want to sell. I'll give it another turn. And as you can see, it's not helping. It's actually losing money in that area. Right now, for the commission, we are going to do profit focus. That's what I want. I'm not interested in anything else. And you guys saw before, and I should have paused there, but essentially it showed us how many commission votes we received as opposed to the other factions. Some of the factions, like the family we took a look at the initial start of this Let's Play, or excuse me, this first look, are very, like, good at certain things, good at bribing politicians or things like that. So we want to keep that in mind, and also favored by the commission. We're actually the least favored by the commission next to the Red faction, which is just an extremely violent faction, kind of like Murder Inc. Let's take a look here. So what I want to do, so I might want to actually move. We're definitely going to sell that racket. So we can sell all investments. We can also suspend rackets to lower heat, or we could focus on things like money laundering, and I'm going to give this one a chance to actually reduce heat in this neighborhood. But we may or may not make any money. Now, I'm going to go into the drug trade. I think we can make a lot of money with that, narcotics. But, of course, it's a very dangerous activity, so we'll see what happens. And no, Rodham Hill is just a terrible area, and sometimes you got to know when to pick up stakes and move elsewhere. In Laster Row, as you can see, we're doing really well. 6,809 a week, which is pretty good. But you want to be careful. You don't want to start making too much money and not pay attention here to your heat. As you can see here, the heat is really bad. In Yule Zone Park, we have everything. We've got a money laundering, we've got a gentleman's club, numbers, casino, etc. And we can actually go ahead and sell the casino. But what I'm going to try to do is sell the casino for 60,000, which is pretty great. And keep the money laundering there, because it's actually going to reduce heat. So we just need to get rid of things little by little. And we can even invest a little bit more in a racket to basically increase its profit margin, I guess you could say. And I think I'm going to invest in this racket right here, the money laundering. And I wonder if that will actually help to reduce... It might reduce the heat. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, right now the heat is going down, guys. So that's all we want to do in this area. We want to keep the heat down and hopefully start making some profits. Now, since that guy's in jail, we don't have anyone here, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attack another faction. I don't like to do this because I'm not exactly sure what a war will do, and I've gotten pretty far, but let's go for it. We're going to send in Joseph Snow Maniello, and we're going to send in 10 muscle. All right, as soon as we get in here, we're now in Rutherford City. We take a look at this place. Attempts to revitalize this urban utopia. It remains overshadowed by the rising skylines of neighborhood districts. What I'm going to do is go here, and I am going to begin attacking the Kalesi family. In the meantime, I am also going to go ahead and invest in this area. And again, you can also see the medium neighborhood. You can see there's certain rackets that are better in these neighborhoods, but I'm really not 100% sure. I mean, some are pretty obvious, like the Gentleman's Club, things like that. They're better in wealthier neighborhoods. But I'm just not 100% sure. So I'm going to keep things pretty simple and just start with money laundering. Again, it's going to reduce heat, and that's always a good thing, even if you're not necessarily making a profit. So there we go. We took out those guys, and we are actually making a profit of 424. And I think we're going to go into the numbers game here. I think that'll work out pretty well, especially in a middle-income neighborhood. The Italian lottery, as they like to call it. We'll see how it works. Now, we can eventually unlock the ability here to basically divert or do any number of things to the other factions, but we have to gain respect with these politicians, these police chiefs, etc. You can't just get by yourself. You definitely have to pay these guys off, or else you're off to a bad start. And of course, lastly, we've got finance here. Now, finance is essentially how much you're taxing your caporegimes. The higher you tax them, the lower their loyalty is going to be. In this case, I am going to tax them 20%. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but the reason that John Gotti killed, and I can't remember the name of the man he killed in front of Sparks Steakhouse in New York City, it was because of that. It was because he was basically increasing the tax on the soldiers and not paying attention to the fact that, you know, they had families too, etc., and just obviously taking a lot of their money. It's probably why he got killed, or one of the reasons he got killed. Alright, so we're doing alright in Rutherford City. I'd like to see things get even better, but I'll accept it. Rodham Hill just seems to be a losing area. Every time we build something here, it just fails miserably, but it is a large area. And that alone should suggest that maybe there is something here we could get. I'm going to go crazy, but this is high-stakes gambling from an elevated crowd. That's not going to work well in an average area. So let's just get a good old speakeasy. I mean, I think that's pretty good, right? Let's also do some narcotics, Come on. No, we're still losing money. So as you can see, not every area is going to be good, and different areas are going to have different classes, different bonuses, etc. So as you can see here on Shore Bay, it looks like gambling is a pretty good thing to focus on. So what do I have to do? I want to go ahead and send my soldato to Shore Bay. I'm going to send Fanzo Legambi. It's not, that name is not at all hilarious when you say it and think about it in your mind. Now we're going to send 10 guys, and obviously, if the enemy goes over here, we might have to attack them. We built things in Shore Bay before that have just not really worked out. But this time, it is saying that gambling's big, so I'm just going to go ahead and get a casino going. Why not? It's a large area. It is high-stakes gambling, so maybe won't do so well. Yeah, I should have known that. So let's try just a basic gambling den and see if we can't work around this and find the correct thing. So maybe just a good old speakeasy or numbers. I mean, that is pretty basic gambling, the poor man's gambling as it is known. And yeah, we're making a little bit of money now. So we can, of course, focus on that. And it looks like entertainment now generates extra profit. But obviously, because of the class, I don't think the casino can go here yet. We need to find another form of entertainment and probably a speakeasy. But as you can see, because we're doing this, the heat is going to steadily increase. So I'm going to get that money laundering to potentially mitigate the heat and also make some money. And as you can see, Shore Bay is not very profitable. I'm thinking that could also have to do potentially with the skill of some of my guys, which you can, of course, take a look at here. They all have different traits which increase or decrease neighborhoods, or decrease their skills in neighborhoods. As you can see, this guy increases heat from theft rackets, so he's just not a very good stealer. He's not a very good thief. You want to try to keep him away from those sorts of jobs. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at the game. This is by no means all the game has to offer. This is just the very basic, bare bones skeleton of what I think is turning out to be an epic and really fun game. I do know that there are hits in the game. I don't know how to generate them yet, but I certainly will find out as I keep on playing. And of course, there's definitely the potential that you will go to jail. You will actually go to jail. Snitching and abandoning the family, and he testified against me. I'm not sure how many of my guys have to testify against me to go to jail, Jacopo Junior, but it could certainly happen. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are fans of strategy games and Mafia games as well, please make sure to subscribe to my channel here, and make sure to also subscribe to my Twitch channel, where I'm going to be doing live streams exclusively. And I'm definitely going to be doing some live streams of this game in the future. Thank you so much, guys, and remember, always keep your mouth shut.